Record on this computer. So I have to remember how to do this. It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
You're an old.
Old pro? I don't
Yeah,
think
you're an old.
so.
Well, you've been doing this for over a year. Like it'll all come back to like riding a bicycle.
I know. This is shit. This is episode 39, so it's been a minute. Hello everybody, welcome back to Transcending Humanity. Sorry for our little time away there.
Hiatus.
Vanessa, what's that?
It's a little hiatus.
Yeah, a little hiatus because Vanessa lost her fucking mind. Trigger warning for this episode, content warning, trigger warning, however you like to do it. There's probably going to be a fair amount of talk of self-harm and suicide ideation, stuff like that. So, if that's stuff that sets you off, you might want to skip this episode. But I'm kind of guessing we're going to get into that because that's the reason why the show went on hiatus. So, I am joined here today by my bestie, Taryn Tally, who is now officially, legally Taryn Tally.
Taryn K. Tally.
Fucking badass. Now she has to go through and every single website, every single thing, take the old name off. And there's more than you possibly imagine. It's everywhere. And you just keep getting mail under the old name too. You're like, oh, well, that person's dead. So their mail doesn't count. Then your credit score goes up because you changed your name and anything bad in your past is still attributed to your old name. It takes a while for it to catch up. So, yeah, because I had declared bankruptcy, which was just wrapped up right before I changed my name. So I went from like a 400 something credit score to I think 780.
Oh, nice.
And now it's bounced back out. I'm at like 720. So, but yeah, change your name, your credit goes up for a little bit. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the low seven. I'm like 730 something. So like, I'm like, all right, I could use a boost. But,
yeah.
but I mean, yeah, no, thank you. I mean, it's good to see you. And, we just kind of talked about that a second ago, but, it was a really intense week for you. Like, was it a week and a half or was it a week? 7 days?
Mm. During like when I shut the
When you were
show off,
hospitalized? Yeah, when I would like, how long were you hospitalized?
I was hospitalized for technically there's a full 24 hours in the ER and then 4 days in 4 full days really in the hospital. So, and then, but then there's been a lot of fallout since then. So,
I mean, I'm happy to see you.
thank you.
Was worried about you as many other people who listen on the show and participate on the show. And, you know, the struggle is real. And, watching this happen to you in real time was really, I mean, there were a couple of points where I had nothing. I couldn't, like, I had a lump in my throat and I'm just like, oh my God, like, I don't know what to say to you. Like, you know what I mean? It's, I could just feel for you, right? And I'm just happy that you were able to do what you did and get some help and just, come back to us, right? And I'm loving the energy that I'm seeing you on social media and like the work and you're getting, you're doing your photography and stuff. And I'm just like, you're a radiant, beautiful person.
Uh,
And just like, I know you don't think that,
no, I
but
don't.
you are a radiant, beautiful person, and I'm just happy that you're kind of getting healthy, and like things will change for us, and things will improve, and kind of, I guess, a little bit of an optimist. But it's just really good to see you.
I'm glad I'm still here. It's good to see you too. I'm glad we're back sitting on these little Zoom calls. I guess I should give the audience a little bit of an explanation as to what happened.
I'm sorry, I jumped right into it.
Oh no. So we record the show on Wednesdays usually, and kind of bounce around. Sometimes we do evenings, sometimes we do afternoons, just so we can kind of get different hosts on. And so the Tuesday before we were recording, I checked myself into the ER for suicidal ideation because the night before I was laying in bed, like, just, I'm gonna go upstairs and just swallow a bottle of pills. And like it hit hard and it hit fast out of nowhere. But I was cuddling with my dog, and that's what stopped me. And then Wednesday, I felt a little bit better during the day, but still really triggered. And we had to cancel recording because everyone had something come up all at the last minute. And that really triggered me too. So I'm like, okay, fuck this show. I'm done. Um, deleted the website for a little bit and then brought it back up and then had to pay for it again. But um, yeah, I'm like, I can't do this show. I just don't have the mental capacity and stuff to do it. So then I went to bed that night. It was okay. Then the next day, I had a little bit of a kind of an argument with my kid's other mom, and I don't know what happened, but I left the house for a little bit. I came back and I stood in the kitchen with my left hand full of probably 40 Benadryl. In my right hand, I had a bottle of sertraline. Um, and I just stood there for an hour, just staring at them. Like, I was one move of the hand away from not having to deal with my bullshit anymore. And the 2 nights before, just thinking of my dog stopped me. But this time, even that, like, I was, whatever hit, it hit so hard and so fucking fast. It was absolutely mind blowing to the point where I wrote a note. Um, and then eventually, after an hour, I put the pills back away and crumpled the note up, threw that away, and went back downstairs and finished editing some photos that I had to edit. And I sent my kid's other mom a text saying I'm going to check myself in the ER again to try to get hospitalized. And I spent 24 hours in the ER, most of it under close observation. They had a sitter with me. And then I got transported to Lutheran Hospital up in Cleveland and had the most terrifying 4 days of my life. Um, Mental hospitals are no fucking joke. It's essentially a prison of sorts. I had no rights anymore. The probate court, I was aborted estate for that time, and I happened to go on the weekend, and nothing happens on the weekend. Like, you have to wait until Monday for anything to for any chance to get out or anything like that. And so, like, my first night, they were taken in my room, and the guy across the hall from me was, make sure I don't back up on my dog, standing in his doorway, like in the darkness, like that. So, audio listeners, think every slasher movie you've ever seen. Uh, and I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here. So I went to the staff. I'm like, oh, I made a mistake. What do I do to get out of here? And of course, nobody has the right answers. And I went the entire weekend. Everyone's like, oh, you'll be able to go home tomorrow. You'll be able to go home tomorrow. But the fact is you have to meet with the psychiatrists and the social workers on Monday, and then they start deciding. So I did eventually get to go home on Tuesday. Um, there were all of the wards were pretty much overflowed, so they put me into the overflow ward, which also has a lot of the very acute cases. So eventually I kind of got into the grind of it. I read 4.5 books, and I haven't read in a long time. I really wish I would have brought some from home. But mental hospitals for someone with suicidal ideation, they are not the answer. They I spent the entire time just scared out of my mind, like not knowing what was happening, not knowing what's going to come the next day. Um, and really, there's no answers from anybody. You're just stuck in this white room with the most uncomfortable bed that I've ever imagined. I had to take tons of sleeping pills and stuff like that. And they give everybody tons of sleeping pills just to fall asleep rather than better mattress. But And I still just have the vision of that room just like locked in my brain. It's all white room with some shelving on the wall in front of me and a black and green digital clock. That's the only thing to really look at. And yeah, there we need a better system in this country for people that have suicidal ideation because a mental hospital is not the answer. All they do is they lock you in a room and you don't really get to talk to anybody. Like I talked to the nurses for like 5 minutes here and there, and you get like 5 minutes with the psychiatrist. And the rest of the time you're just in this room. We're walking around the halls and like all the group therapy things were pretty much made for people with a preschool mental capacity. So like I didn't really feel that into it. Um, I did wind up switching medication. I went off lamotrigine. And shortly after I got out, I was finally diagnosed as autistic and ADHD and CPTSD and major depressive disorder, which explains a lot. And now I'm no longer on the bipolar medication. I'm finally meeting with a new psychiatrist because my last one put me back on bipolar medication. I think that triggered me. And then I also just found out that my hormones have been, um, my doctor prescribed me the wrong dose, and I've only been running on about 20% of the estrogen that I need. So, on top of all this shit, my hormones have been completely fucked. So, if you're trans and your mind is going to super dark places, like out of nowhere, get your hormones checked. Something could be off. I had no idea, and I finally just stirred up on a full dose on Monday, but it's been an adventure. Sorry, Taryn, I just started just yapping on and on and on and
Oh,
on.
no, don't apologize to me. I wanted to, this is our first time like for that I'm hearing the full story, right? So like
Yeah.
I'm glad that the hospitalization stopped you from self-harm, right?
Hmm.
Like it kind of did its job at the base level.
Yeah.
Uh, and you like I actually like to me it was terrifying hearing that description of the guy across the hall. I'm like
Mhm.
I don't even know if I could sleep in a place like that. I mean, no matter how many sleeping pills like
It
that,
was hard.
that felt really wrong. But you're right. I mean, I think like what you're saying is what we've been reading like in the news about just like the state of mental health in this country has really degraded down over the last 40 or 50 years since Reagan
Hmm.
just decimated the system. So, I mean, I'm fortunate to live in California where they're actually putting a proposition on for the election to actually fund treatment centers,
Really?
health facilities, and addiction, trying to help people and like working on the unhoused crisis that we have here. So, the people that are just, trying to survive. And I'm hoping that California can do it right. I mean,
I hope so.
we have a history of doing things first, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes, let's say more times than not, doing them right. So, like, I'm really hopeful that people here will get that kind of better treatment. I'm glad that you were able to, like, they stopped you from that. I think the important thing too is like your medication dose, under getting the right diagnosis and stuff like that is super important because I feel like I can see like the energy that you have and what you're sharing online, right? And what you've shared in text with me, and just it feels like you're a little bit more in equilibrium. I
I
don't know if I
definitely
really,
feel it.
but I feel like you're more balanced and I
Hmm.
feel like you're in a better spot. But remember, I shared those hormone levels for me from I think it was 2021.
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, so it was like real, I think it was 2021 or 2020. It was really low. It was down to 90. Even at that level, I was getting a little despondent. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I could feel that darkness kind of creeping in. So I second what Vanessa is saying, right? Like if you're feeling that darkness come in, and I mean, I've been dealing with ideation for decades too, and you feel that darkness creeping in, get the blood levels checked, right? And make
Yeah.
sure you're being medicated because they doubled my dose like when they saw that number from me. So,
Mhm.
and hormones are very important for our mental health, and a lack of
Very.
really kind of create like, I don't know if it's a very deep cascading kind of depression, especially for those of us that no longer can produce testosterone, or, or it's just so suppressed that it's never coming back. Right.
Mhm.
So, well, I'm on the latter part, but it's like, like that kind of sex hormone will definitely help. So, but I'm just happy to see you here, and I'm glad that there's a balance and you've got a better diagnosis. You're actually inspiring me to go get tested, because I want to understand myself, right? Because I feel like I tick some of the boxes for a little bit of autism, and then
Mhm.
a little bit of ADHD. So you're kind of like, hearing your story and your journey. You're inspiring me to go get tested and do the right thing and understand like what I need to do to be in the best mental health state that I can be.
It's hard to get tested too. It's hard to find people. I finally found one, and honestly, my tests, the results came out a bit more severe than I really think I am. Like they put me at level 2 bordering and level 3 autism, and I really think I'm more of a level 1. But the doctor also said that this combination of all my core comorbidities with the CPTSD and ADHD and everything, like amplifies the autism diagnosis. So, because if I were level 3, I wouldn't be able to be living alone or anything like or running the show, that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
but
Can you, and like, so the one term that you said that I'm not familiar with, and I would love if you would share that with me. CPTSD, what is that?
it's combined PTSD. There's different. I honestly don't know that much, but there's like two different types of PTSD, or you could also have a combination of both, and that's what mine is the combination. So, get girls fucked up is pretty much what my diagnosis is. So,
I mean, I'm going to have to whip out my Professor Xavier of trans people and say you're not fucked up. You've just got some challenges that you're working on, and we love and support you.
okay, well, thank you. To explain the hormone thing to our cis listeners, so there's it's PG slash ML or something, whatever. We get numbers for our estrogen levels. And the kind of standard for trans women is to stay between 100 and 200 um, of estrogen. And like a cis male produces between like 50 and 80, I believe, naturally. And women, cis women or cis female, people that are not transitioning to another sex. I have to get my terminology right, but people who produce estrogen naturally and want to continue producing the estrogen naturally are over like 100 to 300. So a lot of trans women try to stay in the 150 range, maybe up to about 200. Mine's at 32.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks ago I was at 54. And that's why I'm like, something's wrong here. And so if your levels are low, like Taryn said that she felt like crap when hers were at 90, and get that blood work done. Because if your hormones are off, it can just fuck with everything. And as I found out the hard way, it's after recording this episode, it's 2:54 right now. I have a 4 o'clock meeting with my doctor. I'm gonna be like, what the fuck? That's kind of a major thing to I could the I switched from one type of estradiol injection to another, and the one that she put me on was a lot weaker in concentration of estrogen, but she kept me on the same dose. So
Should have
yeah.
been for sure.
What's that?
It should have been adjusted for sure.
Yeah. So kind of a big mistake, and I'm more than a little bit pissed off about it because it did put me in the hospital. So
And having that, yeah, I mean, that low, I can only imagine. You know what I mean? Like you start cascading down that staircase, and it's like, it's very difficult. I mean, I'm fortunate that I got an adjustment for me. So, I mean, they overcompensated and pushed me over 200 for a couple of years. So like, and I benefited from that. I'm not going to lie. But my endocrinologist last year was like, girl, you got to dial that down a little bit. So now I'm at a happy 140. So like,
that's a
next
good number though. So
So like I'm getting my blood work done next week. So I'll see like what my levels are and just check it. And since I'm old as hell, I gotta get my cholesterol done and all that other crap.
Mm,
It's a good look under.
yeah. Get it all done. It's when you're trans, you get your blood taken like crazy. I'm finally starting to get used to it. When I was in the hospital, complete aside on blood work, some like girl came in at like 6:15 in the morning to draw blood. I'm like, "Uh, I was asleep. Like, what the no, fuck no, no. And then she's gone. I'm like, "Ugh, I hate blood work, but yeah, if you're trans, you have to check everything. So um
Gotta learn to like needles.
yeah, like you don't have to inject your estrogen or testosterone. There's other ways of doing it. There's pills, there's patches, there's even like gel and shit like that. Injection is just easy and you know you're getting it all. So, but and there's less risk of blood clot for on the estrogen side, there's less risk of blood clots for injections than there are with pills. So, um, the more you know, the more you know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
like sublingual estradiol. So yeah,
what?
the sublingual one under the tongue.
Oh, you're doing something. What? You should try injections, girl.
Think it'd be better.
Oh yeah.
I can't stand any more growth. I'm like, I'm good. I'm throwing clothes out at a rapid pace right now. So
The estrogen just works for you really, really well. So what does Zoom want?
yes.
Oh, this Zoom call is the charge just went through. So thank you, Zoom. Um,
Yeah.
so
So I mean, I think this like if for listeners out there, right? Just think about that and just kind of when you're in those states, you need to go and get the help. We discussed how the system here in this country is not that great. But like, the end result of even a bad stay for 4 days as a ward of the state. I mean, Vanessa's still here. She was unable to self-harm. And I mean, was it helpful? Maybe not as much, right? But getting her other diagnoses were just important. So like
yeah.
if you can, I know many of us are like out looking for a job or don't have health care or, there's some other issue that's popping up that's preventing this, but like don't hesitate to get the help you need and just focus on like what you can do to strengthen yourself, right? And to get the right diagnosis, to get the right medicine, be vocal with your providers. Like Vanessa, you're probably going to have that conversation about the estradiol, right? The estrogen, about the dose and that not having the high enough dose of it to compensate for the new drug and
Mhm.
what the results were, right? I mean, that could have very well ended in death.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm kind of pissed.
Yeah, so I mean, you got to have those conversations with the doctors. And I'm not telling any or non-binary folk that are dealing with healthcare anything new, right? I mean, like this is the constant state that we have to go through. But for our cis het friends or cis gay and lesbian friends, just if you help somebody, talk to them, nudge them into getting treatment, right?
Yeah, it's important.
Be there for
Um,
people.
because like keep an eye on your friends because a lot of times I personally didn't see myself falling as quickly as I did. I like your metaphor about falling down the stairs. That's what it was like. It was that fast. I was fine, and then I was holding pills about to kill myself. Like, keep an eye on your friends, um, because we don't always know what's going on in our own heads, and it's kind of terrifying. So, um, un- unfortunately, like doctors just like to throw drugs at things. Like this psychiatrist I've been seeing that doubled down on my bipolar diagnosis, but he also doesn't know anything about autism. And it turns out the type of autism and combination of symptoms I have is misdiagnosed bipolar all the time. But the medication for bipolar does not work with my brain. So, um,
Yeah. I mean, like I'm glad you got a better script, right? That treats you how you need to be treated. I mean, I had back in the day, I worked in pharma and I worked for AstraZeneca as a consultant, and they had a major drug, Seroquel, right? So like as part of the marketing for that, you have to read all the prescribing information and understand it. I mean, those drugs are incredibly powerful with really bad side effects. Like, I mean, to me, like it's worth anybody if you're getting a bipolar diagnosis, maybe a second opinion.
Yeah.
Just like find a really good provider that can help you because like these drugs are not they're not I'd say well, I guess they're well tolerated in a way because they're being sold, but they are still dangerous, right? And they still like if you're misdiagnosed, it can be a really, like we're talking about now, a catastrophic health issue.
Hmm. They can really, really mess you up. So second opinions are always that's extremely good advice. And make sure that like if you have any suspicions um of conditions that you may have, like narcissistic personality disorder or borderline personality disorder or bipolar or autism or ADHD, if you have suspicions about those things, when you are trying to find uh, someone to do mental health care for you, ask are if they're experienced with that kind of thing, because that's what happened with me with this guy that I've been seeing. He doesn't know anything about autism and misdiagnosed again. So, and it was very dangerous. The medication, I had taken myself off of the lamotrigine a few months before that because I just felt like garbage with it and I wanted to see how I felt without it. And when I was off it, I felt much better. And then once I went back on it, I started feeling like garbage again. So, um,
And that's an important lesson too, right? Listen to your body.
mhm.
Like if you're not getting what you need when you're taking something, like definitely have that conversation with your doctor or
Yeah.
prescriber. Yeah, I know. I mean, these are serious drugs. Like, I mean, years ago they were when Trump was doing the whole detainment of children at the border, doctors were actually prescribing. There was a doctor in the southern like states that was prescribing Seroquel, I think XL to children under 12, where it's clearly contraindicated for anybody under 12. Right. I mean, they were doing it to pacify children that they've stripped from their parents. I mean, these drugs are, like I said, I mean, they're able to be sold, so there's benefit, but they are serious complications and indications for each one of them. So, second
Hmm.
opinion, listen to your body, and then get the right medication and the right mix.
Definitely. And if you think you're on the wrong med, don't just take yourself off it like right away though. Don't like cold turkey that shit. Ask a doctor how to take yourself off of it because there can be like there's some that if you go off it, you can start having seizures and shit like that. So um
That's super important too. Like,
yeah.
this is an episode chock full of health information from people.
Hmm.
No, there are a lot of drugs like that you cannot do the sudden cessation of it, where you can't just stop it, right? Can cause, I mean, there's a whole like multiple classes of drugs that can have side effects like that. And I can imagine that, neurologic medicine probably has the same situation.
My kid is screaming. Drugs in general, just prescription drugs, is terrifying. Like I don't know. We rely on them very heavily. I mean, I'm sure you take I'm sure you have your own fucking pharmacy and little pill dispensers in the morning like I do. But
I try
um
to limit my pharmaceuticals, but yeah. So like, I mean, I'm fortunate enough just to like pop two Sudafed, a Zyrtec, and I do spironolactone and estradiol, and that's it.
mhm,
So pretty
that's
much,
damn.
yeah, pretty much not to have like too much other than that. So, but once again, I haven't gone and got treated and had been tested like you have. So I don't know if there's more medicine in the mix. I do have a habit of self-medicating with cannabis, so that might be
I
something
mean, that shit's the miracle drug. I wish I could do that. It just makes me puke. So
that would suck. Yeah,
yeah, at least it's finally gonna be legal in Ohio here next month, I think.
that's
So
all.
recreationally.
That's Ohioans.
At least there's something not too shitty about this state. So, what else has been going on? We still have a half hour of just bullshitting. So,
Well, I mean, I shared with you earlier, right? And I think you saw a post that, so legal name change. So took my mom's her middle name is not my middle name. So got the gender change, the legal name change, and now I've got to do all the thousands of sites and usernames and logins, and I can imagine how painful this is going to be going and changing my name on my Verizon account, but like it's all stuff that's necessary that I need to do. I now the bummer for me is that I just got a layoff notice the same week that I got my court orders. So I'm actually going to be changing stuff in the middle of looking for another job. So I'm on the clock till about May 19th, and then I don't know what's coming next, but kind of feverishly as anybody listening to this who's looking for work right now, it's a full-time job. So like I work my job and then at night I come home and spend 4 hours job hunting and connecting with people and networking and updating resumes and doing all the stuff. So it's a bit of a hustle, but got to get it done and kind of get it into a better footing. So, but those are the challenges that I've got. So it's like, like I had something great happen in the same week, something utter crap happened. So,
But hopefully in the end it all work out because I know you had some issues there too. So
oh yeah, I mean, I think almost everybody has some sort of issue with their employer, right? There's something that you're not being seen, you're not being heard, you're not being included. I mean, there's always challenges, but ideally for me, I try to suck it up and just get through things because I like a paycheck because I appreciate a roof over the head and food and the ability to pay my car off and stuff like that. So, it's like when you have bills, like you can't really afford to be, just super picky. So, and it's been a really weird job market. So I know you've
it's
experienced that. It's a really weird market, and it's from 2021 when they did all that hiring post pandemic, right? After everybody got laid off in 2020, and they hired all those people. And then even in the Bay Area, so in Silicon Valley here, layoffs after layoffs after layoffs every week because they've overhired or what strategy the leaders came up with failed. So let's make the entire team redundant, like that kind of stuff and that kind of bullshit. So it's made a market to where I feel like it's swung back for the employer. So
oh
where the employee had the
definitely.
in 2 years, it went right back to the employer. So it's been challenging, but I'm working with some people right now that we're really focused on networking and really trying to get like more of a referral system. So
Hmm.
people in there, and I'm hoping it'll pan out for me.
I mean, I don't think that you're going to be on the market too long. I personally think you're going to find something pretty quickly because you're pretty marketable as the marketing girl. Um, you're a marketing leader. So,
Mhm.
but I think something will come up for you pretty quickly. I'm starting to focus on my photography company. Because this job hunt, I thought Liam and I both thought we had jobs last week. And that turned out to be fake. Um, I'm going to go ahead and call out the company name here, Credit Repair Cloud. That's the company that did that to us. I didn't put that into the writing on posts and stuff like that, but it was Credit Repair Cloud to the point where we had reference checks. Taryn can vouch for that because she filled out one of my references, and we had background checks. We were both promised jobs that would pay at least 60 grand. And then they turned out to not exist. So um, there's a lot of scams out there that people have to watch out for. And it's so hard to get your hopes up on anything because you think that you never know when the rug's going to get pulled out from under you. And that's how I felt the entire time when this fake job was, supposed to be a thing. I'm like, when's the other shoe gonna drop? And it did. So, it happened to affect both me and Liam. We were both interviewing. We were supposed to be co-workers, which would have been absolutely amazing. Um,
I know it was
it,
so cool. I mean, because she actually involved me, the
mhm,
person who did this involved me into this through like I think she reached out to Liam and Liam referred her to me. So she kind of brought me into this mix, and I was super hopeful. Like I was like, because you remember, I was like hitting you up and texting you, like, "Hey, girl," like and just I was like, "Oh my God, this is finally gonna happen for you." And then when that happened, I'm like, "What the actual fuck?" Like I was like, I mean, I was when I did that post on LinkedIn the other day, I was furious. Like I was like, I wouldn't. I was so close to putting that CEO on blast and being like, "Hey, motherfucker." Like, this is what your people are doing. And in case you don't know this, because you're in CEO, that, like, this is the exact opposite of what an HR person is supposed to do. And she should be terminated right now. I chose not non-violence, but I was like, I wanted to fucking light that up because I was like, I know what you've been going through. You've been very vocal and have been sharing this. And I've been in a situation not quite as bad as where you're facing, right? With all the challenges, but it's like I've been in long term, where it's like Great Recession, tech bust, you name the recession, I've usually get made redundant, right? So it's like I know what it's like to be 12 months in and doing anything you can for a dollar,
Yeah.
right? And hustling and making it happen because you've got a kid, which I did at the time, couple layoffs, and you hustle to make it happen. You hustle to feed. I mean, the first layoff I had, I think it was the second actually, but the second layoff I had was like, my daughter was just born. I was buying fucking diapers on a credit card. I mean, it's like baby food on a credit card. I'm like, just to freaking make ends meet. You know what I mean? So I know it's rough and it's stressful. And I have there's a special place in hell for motherfuckers that exploit people's hope and then like just kind of pull the rug out from underneath them because they deserve that shit. And she's lucky that we don't put her on blast.
I'm hoping that I I'm still trying to give her personally benefit of the doubt, but not the company, not Credit Repair Cloud. Something is fucking rotten there. So, but I still have her blocked. I don't want to talk to her. But and you hear this happening all the time. Like you see people posting on LinkedIn frequently about fake jobs. And if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. If you have one, I know that there's a scam that some people get where the employer will ask them to pay for something, like pay
Mhm.
for this background check or something like that. Red flag. No company should be asking you to pay for anything. If that's kind of coming up, or if they're like, oh, well, you need to transfer some money to here, red flag, scam. But so many job hunters, I don't believe that the unemployment rate is as low as they say it is. Um, the we both know so many people that are unemployed and just searching and searching and searching and searching and searching. And it's easy to get desperate. And I think it's very easy to get fooled when you're that desperate. And there are people out there that will still, be predators. So you have to stay vigilant. But
Yeah, I mean, 2009, girl, surprising, not surprising. I fell for that scam.
did
Like
you?
I was so desperate in the Great Recession that I took a gamble. I thought it was a gamble and was like, okay, hopefully this works out. And I ended up like getting stuck with a huge ass like bill that I had to tap into my retirement to fill. It was a nightmare and it was all fraud. And I just because I know like when I kind of text you about hope, I know what that's like to have complete utter hope and to have it just dissipate into vapor. And I mean, I was furious, but I got burned and I was like, I just like, I mean, my adage that I've been saying for years is can't trust a human, can't eat them yet. But that's like, I mean, that I have to be frosty like that because I am a trusting individual,
Mm,
and I like to believe that people are better than what they really are, and they're not. But yeah, those scams and frauds are real, and I'm really sorry that like you and Liam, like and that exploitation, and I don't care if that. I'm sorry, I'm going to be really profane. I don't care if that bitch was doing it out of the kindness of her heart. The end result of it can be utterly traumatic and just demoralizing at your core. And I just feel like even in the best case scenario, F her. Like I'm like,
yeah.
there's no way that I can think about because I know like I've been in business for, listen, we've been working for a long time. Been in business like 28 years. And it's like, I know what you can do and what you can say and what you can't do and what you can't say.
Hmm.
She broke those rules, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, stay frosty. But that's the one thing I would say for the job. Please go out on my LinkedIn profile. So if there's somebody you see in my network that works, that we're connected and that works at a company you're looking for, let me see if I can try and get some kind of referral to you, because I really do truly believe that referrals are the way that we'll be able to break through to do that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I have no referrals in Ohio. I don't know if I have that many connections in Ohio.
I'm
Um,
looking remote, so because I need to be able to be flexible. But
I'll send you that job site.
okay.
See if that works and set up a profile on that. But yeah, I was gonna say if I was more active with my Chase alumni, like JP Morgan, they are supposed to be an employer of choice, at least in Ohio as well, with a strong support for the LGBTQ. So, that's just exploring options, right, in your space. But please look at my connections. If there's anything I can do to send a note, give you a referral, just let me know.
Referrals are that's how you find jobs these days. It's you hear it over and over and over again. It's just about who you know. So um if you know people that are job hunting, they've been on the job hunt for a while too. Um here's kind of a hot take from Vanessa. Instead of saying you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, you should do that, ask what they need if there's something that you can do to help them. Like I get people when I get frustrated about not making any money, people are like, go work at Walmart, go work at McDonald's, stuff like that. Like, well, one, being trans in Ohio in a red area, that's just too fucking dangerous. And two, it's not enough money to live on. I make more money doing my photography than I would working full time at a minimum wage job. It's not helpful to job hunters to tell them that. Um, Instead, ask like, can I help you with your resume? Is there anybody you think that I might be able to introduce you to? That kind of thing. It's a lot more helpful that way. Because trust me, people that are unemployed for a long time like me, we're looking at all the ways of making money. We've probably done a lot of it too. So I personally wish that sex work had worked out better for me because that would really pay the bills. But unfortunately, post-op trans girls aren't very popular on OnlyFans. But that's also a full-time job too. So
And sex work is work. If you've
oh
known,
yeah.
work is always work. Probably more work than we deserve.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm like, it would have been fun to do that, but um, not if I wasn't gonna make money doing it. So, but yeah, it's just
Sorry, go ahead.
uh, I just support people instead. Don't just say you should do this, you should do that, because all that does is just it pisses. I know it pisses me off, and I'm sure it pisses off other people too. It's just I don't want to hear it. I need help, not stupid suggestions. So,
No, I mean, that's really real. I mean, and when you said that, I forgot where it was because we talk on like four different channels. So
yeah.
but you said that, and I'm just like, hallelujah. I mean, like during my layouts, I hear that all the time. Just get a job at Home Depot. Just get a job at a restaurant. Like you can cook, you can do this. I'm like, when I was working in a restaurant, first off, it was like 1993, and I could kind of survive on that restaurant pay. You can't, like in California, like I can get a job at McDonald's and work 40 hours a week, and that pays for about half my bills, right? And we have like a $20 minimum wage, like for a
Mhm.
fast food job. So it's just like it's unreasonable, offer connections. Like for me, like I try not to do that shit to you, but it's like for me, it's like I'm looking at like, hey, I'll send you the site, right? I got
Mhm.
to get that over to you because I want you to explore that and take a look at it. You and I talked about your resume with you, right? Like these are the things that we can help our friends, right? To do because I felt like you had that option for another resume, right? With all your experience, right? And come from a different perspective. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine in an art show. So I contributed to an artist getting a master's in fine arts and spatial
Really?
art. Yeah. So I contributed to their show and they were interviewing people on fashion, clothing, and how it influences society and gender. So I actually saw like they had a little thing with my quote on it, like in the art show. So I caught up with a really good friend of mine that I met. Well, we met last year. Dropped in her DMs and invited her to one of my events, and she came to like probably about four or five of them. So we started building this friendship. And she's been on the market for a long term too. And so like her and I were strategizing last night. I'm like, girl, I just got my resume read. let me send it over to you and maybe that'll inspo you for yours. And then like, can you connect me to this recruiter that you're connected to at this company? And I'll do this in this company, you know? And like, we're like literally in our show, like and I think the artist is her, like one of her childhood friends. And, you know, we're talking about it and we're looking at art and then I'm like, turn around and be like, okay, send me your resume. I'm like, all right. And we're doing the strategizing of the job hunt, right? But that's what we're doing. It's like kind of bouncing off each other and helping each other, right? And that's what we should be doing right now, especially
Yeah,
during there's just a shit ton of layoffs, people.
they really are. And like every day you see more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And then you also like on the selfish front, you're like, fuck, more people got laid off. It's just gonna be even more competition for me then. And I've thought that before too. And I've also had the thought, like when people say go work at McDonald's, uh, I've had the thought, people are like, what are you too good to work at McDonald's? I'm thinking, fuck yeah, actually. I have so much experience that it's just wasted doing that. And I still have nightmares about waiting tables from 2000 to 2002. I could not do it. I physically could not do that job. I have so much respect for people that work fast food, that work service industry, work all that stuff. I could not do it. I would absolutely lose my shit. I'm autistic. I would shut down. I would just be fucking all over the place. You wouldn't want me in that job. I get fired in days. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not knocking people in those roles. It's just not something that I am trained to do. It's not something that I am personally able to do. So, yeah, um,
You
makes
know,
me
yeah,
mad.
that's how I got paid my way through college was working at food service.
Mhm.
I mean, I've suffered like big cuts, gashes, first and second degree burns, like all kinds of stuff. I mean, like to the food service workers and like fast food workers, yeah, it's a hard freaking job, you know? And it's like, but for people like with a good amount of experience, it's also dismissive to be like, why don't you just go work here? You know, like they're hiring. I saw a big poster.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like you don't understand how somebody needs to survive, right? Because we got to pay rent. So it's like, you know, check the checks are due. So, you know, be more productive and help people. But you're right. I mean, that is a when I see those layoffs, especially in my area, I'm just like, fuck, I'm like more people that get more saturated, right? So
yeah,
right now I stand out, but it's like, you know, let a couple more layoffs happen and then I'm like going to be just blend into the crowd a little bit.
it's hard. It's hard to keep up. So,
So
I mean,
what's your favorite job board that you've used that you feel like could be helpful for people?
I've been using built-in and Ada. I've been using built-in the most lately. LinkedIn I don't use too much because their search function just sucks. But they do pop up a lot of good recommended jobs. So I actually do apply to a lot of the recommended jobs that LinkedIn like pops up on my feed because they're really good at suggesting those. It's their search function, just like if you type in people operations, people manager, it pulls words from anywhere and anything. So you could get that and then be getting like fucking like doctor jobs and shit like that. Like because the job description says that people at that company have management. So, but built-in is very good. Auto is very good. I've used a bunch of other ones in the past, but those are the ones I've been using lately. So, what are you using?
I mean, I feel the same about LinkedIn. So it's like with the recommendations, like I find some good ones in there. But I'm telling you, like usually when I go for the recommended jobs on LinkedIn, it's like almost an immediate dismissal sometimes, you know what I mean? Which is like, oh, we've considered you and blah, 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 and keep your records on file, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm starting just like, so I'm getting a lot of people sending me jobs, right? And I'm reaching out to so I'm doing that referral thing. So I'm reaching out to people in my network and saying like, hey, I saw this job on your site, you know, would you be good with referring me? Like I'm doing an application tonight where my sister's, you know, husband works at the company. He's already created a referral link for me, right? So it's a remote job. So I'm like, I'm going to go for it, but I'm trying to really activate my network. What's funny is I started going onto Glassdoor more, and a couple really good jobs just popped up there. So we'll see how that goes too. But really,
Really?
about my network. We're sharing jobs and sharing information and offering to refer. And I've got some really kind, wonderful people in my network that really want to help and really are going out of their way to do things and kind of help uplift. So I'm kind
Same
of fortunate in that regard, you know.
same here. Like the post I made after when I posted about that fake job, like that post has something like 40,000 impressions on LinkedIn, where most of my posts get about 1,000. And a lot of people were sharing and like just asking, like I was getting connections out of it. I was getting good messages, a lot of bad messages too. You get a lot of spam on LinkedIn, but a lot of people just trying to help. So, because some people will see jobs pop up in their feeds that you don't. So I'll get tagged in things like that, and it's helpful. So, um, yeah, it's networking. Grow your damn network. Um,
And don't be afraid to like, I mean, so I'm going to say this, right? Like, I don't want to dismiss anybody's fears, right? So like I've had a life where I've had plenty of fear in my life. And it's taken me decades to kind of get through that and to understand myself and what I'm capable of and what I'm not capable of. So when I say this, like, like don't be afraid, right? I'm like saying that when you're growing and you're adapting and you're trying different things, like take that opportunity, take that chance to reach out to somebody, right? DM them. They might not answer. I mean, I've done a few where I've sent it messages to connect with people, like 20 of them, and 20 of them connected with me within a day, right? Then I've sent messages to connect with people that I had to delete the connection request because I'm like, this ain't happening, right? Like
yeah,
I'm all time of death on it, right? So it's like it's been 6 months. If you're not reading your request, then all right, bye. So
yeah.
take that chance, and if you've got that fear or just like, what am I supposed to say? For God's sakes, DM me on LinkedIn and ask me if you want me to like take a look at a message. I'm happy to help craft something for you,
Hmm.
share something with you, right? Like this is why we say we're in this together. Is ask somebody you trust to help you with something, right? And just, and take that feedback and see if you can work it in and who knows what happens, right?
Yeah. Connecting with people on LinkedIn too, makes it much easier to message them. When you're not connected to somebody and you message them, unless they have an open profile, it goes to a different folder. So InMail generally gets filtered out as spam, because almost all InMail is spam. So if you can wait to actually try to get connected with that person and then message it, there's a much better chance they're actually going to see the message. So
There with the other tab. So it's like you've got your direct emails, right, from people you're connected to or following. And then you have the other tab. And if you're not connected and you have email credits because you're paying for LinkedIn like I do, then it goes right to the other, right? Sometimes it boosts into the main one. I think you have to be a second level connection of a premium member. That'll go into their main DM folder. But the one thing I would say for job hunters, like so, Vanessa and I are different states of where we are. Um, so like for me, what I've always kind of counseled people are on is make your connections, start building your network before you need them, right?
yeah.
Once you're like 2 months unemployed, right, and you're scrambling for work, that's not the time to network. That creates like an extra level of stress, right? So I try to look and grow my network consistently in the good times and then maybe rely on them in the not so good times, right? So like reach out to people, make those connections, work on your resume when you have a job, right? And make sure it's tight and it's updated. Like I used to tell my guys in back east when I was a managing AD, I was like, listen, portfolio sites need to be updated. Your resumes need to be updated, right? Like keep them at a current state because you never know what's going to happen in the business, right? You can be plodding along and planning all this crap, and the next thing you know, it's like you're made redundant, right? So
Mhm.
just keep like stay frosty, stay on it, and just and don't be afraid to ask for help and find people that you trust to kind of help you.
And embrace technology too. When it comes to resumes and cover letters, embrace AI. I ponied up to get ChatGPT 4. It's only $20 a month for it. And it's vastly different from Chat GPT 3.5. Most of the time when you send your resumes off to a resume service, they're just going to run it through Chat GPT. Um, so just do it yourself. And you can work like ChatGPT 4. I was having a lot of fun with it because um, it would make some suggestions. I'm like, well, that doesn't quite fit. Let's do this. And it would tweak everything. And I'm pretty happy with how my resume works right now. And I'm now also using it for cover letters because cover letters fucking suck. Um,
Yeah.
and embrace technology. It's there to use. So you might as well use it.
Yeah.
You can do ChatGPT 3.5 for free. Um, just create an account and it does make a difference and it does take some of the load off.
I ran into one job application I submitted, right, for an AI company. And, they were like, listen, we all know that people use, ChatGPT or Claude or whatever to write your resume and cover letter. But they asked, like, why do you want to work here? And they were like, can you please acknowledge and agree that you will tell us how you feel and not rely on an AI? So, like, there are times to use AI and there are times that you're going to have to write some stuff of your
Oh
own.
yeah.
But I think Vanessa's like, she's spot on with that, right? It's like, I suck at doing about me's. Like when somebody's like, tell me about yourself. I'm just like, oh God, I start like, and even people who coach recruiters, right? They're like looking at me and they're like, no, because I start up like, listen, I've been doing this many years. And like, I'm really like, I don't know, just, I don't really talk about myself in a way that's people like listen and learn. So I'm really dry about it. And I use ChatGPT to do my about me on LinkedIn. I was like, I had to make a couple corrections, but it was huge. It was like
Hmm.
finally an about me that doesn't sound like I'm some kind of marketing dork who can't talk to human beings. So like it felt
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my entire LinkedIn profile right now, I took what I had in there already, I plugged it in, and that was with ChatGPT 3.5. And I said, I asked it to, because you can ask it to do different tones. I'm like, I like it a professional but conversational tone because the way I talk, be it professionally or not, is how I just talk. It's how I write, how I talk to. Um, and it did a really good job with it. So, um, yeah,
and there are
you,
free tools about that too. So
yeah, yeah. ChatGPT 3.5 is free. So, um, and it's kind of an amazing tool, really. So,
like I'll give you a little closer. You might occasionally see me publish some thought leadership for my company. And for me, I do a lot of writing and a lot of researching, like first party research. So my style is kind of journalistic in terms of research and writing. But ChatGPT, like the one thing I hate when writing content, right, and working in content um, is doing a content outline. So like when you're writing thought leadership, you've got to write to an outline, right? And I am dragging my feet. I'm like that 10-year-old child that's like throwing a fit and has to be drugged somewhere. I hate doing content outlines. I always have hated content outlines. Like I will get jammed up on a content outline. I go in, utilize an AI program. I tell it kind of what I'm thinking about and start crafting content outlines. So some of the writing that I'll do is like I'll look for some inspiration from those content guidelines so I can or outlines so I can kind of like figure out, okay, here's my main couple stages of the article. And then I just do my own research and write.
mhm,
So like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with integrating AI and tools into your toolkit that help you be more efficient or more effective, right? Because I mean, once like May 19th, May 20th, I'm going to co-write with Trevor, with a friend of mine. I'm going to co-write with Jordan, and we're going to start doing some work together and publishing things on LinkedIn about some of the articles that we feel need to get elevated.
mhm.
So like I'm looking to do more writing and get into content marketing and just really explore, but I'm also using the tools that are available to me. So don't be afraid to do that.
That's what they are. It's their tools. Just that's just like Grammarly is another good one just for just when you're writing because it can just kind of help fix things as you go along.
What
I
I'm addicted to Grammarly. Like
Grammarly is pretty cool.
I love Grammarly. Yeah. So hold on, I got to tell you, I'm going to do a post in like a week or two about summarizing my 2.4 months, 2 years and 4 months of work. Grammarly gives me a tally of how much I've written and how many words it's analyzed my behalf. Girl, 2,048,000 words for 2 years.
Holy shit.
2 years I have that many words. And I was telling my like couple of my close sisters are writers, and I was telling them about that. They were like, "Holy shit, that's like the equivalent of like 10 to 20 novels." It's like,
Mhm.
that's the output that I do. So like that's gonna be part of my thing. Like, how do you summarize a career? You know, like here it is, 2.04 million words.
That's wild. People love seeing stats like that too. So, like, you just make
I'm
a
a,
post stats.
I'm a bit of a dork, so I'm like, I see that ticker going up, and I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So this has been a really good conversation,
It
and I
has.
been wide ranging, and hopefully this has been beneficial to the audience. And girl, once again, it is so good to see you,
You
and
too.
I'm glad you're in a better spot right now.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm trying to figure out
Still,
what the
still for a friend, you have to go further, but right now you're in good space.
yeah, it's just being on different medication helps a lot. So like the Wellbutrin that I'm now on kicked in like it kicks in pretty quick and it actually started kicking in when I was at the hospital and I started feeling better there. So and I'm now completely off lamotrigine. I actually went off it a little bit early because fuck that shit. I don't want that poison in my body anymore. But yeah, I don't know what to name this episode. Brippy Sock Vacation and ChatGPT.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like the way we're doing it was kind of like auntie. It's like, little like your aunties were just commenting on shit. So it's like lessons from your auntie. I don't know.
Lessons from your auntie. Yeah, that's a good one. Lessons from your aunties. So okay,
All right. Well, hey, good talking to you. And
you too.
sure we'll do another episode before I split from work.
Yeah, we'll figure out how to get you a setup at home
You know,
for
set up, right?
podcasting. It's really not hard. You just need one of these and uh,
And
the webcam.
I'm just really tight on cash. You know the deal.
Just trust me, I know. I
Mm.
know. I invested in a new lens for photography for portraits and I'm just like I just need to just bite the bullet because I need better equipment, but
You need
now I
your
have to find the work.
you need your tools for your craft. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Unavoidable. All right. Awesome. Well, y'all be careful out there and stay frosty. And if you need something, don't hesitate to reach out to us and ping us and DM us. All right.
Hmm. And subscribe to our fucking Patreon. Send us money. Being unemployed and trying to support the show is not easy. So and now I can't tap into Taryn anymore either because she's not going to be employed. So
Not until I land a gig.
yeah, so yeah, send us money, please. Um, we'll be back doing this every 2 weeks, and not sure what the next episode will be, but we're back. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Please remember to share, rate us, all that stuff too. It really does help. It helps get us up in the algorithms because life is all about algorithms these days. So help us with the algorithm. Taryn, thank you so much. It's always lovely to do these with you.
The same girl. All right, y'all. Love ya.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye.